by the.
All right, you're recording. No. It's no big deal. We'll cut out the beginning. Come on, Ghost. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Go on.
Yeah, come on, buddy.
All right.
Oh, I'm kind of glad we got that all on film.
Okay. Well,
He's not even in frame.
he isn't.
Just the top of his head is.
Well, you gonna stay here, or you gonna bark? If you're gonna stay here, I'm okay with this.
He's
So-
part of your life. It's okay for him to stay.
Okay.
You two have a good time.
Guten Tag und grüß Gott. Today is December 31st, and it's a Sunday, December the 31st, the very last day of 2023. I'm here making the last video of the year with my friend the Ghost right here. Now, I know you can't really see him, but he's here. And if there's a dog outside, then you're going to hear him. But in any case, I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on, what has gone on this year. It was a tough year, actually, because the market was really, most of the time, was really quite down since last December. But there was, at the very end here, there was a recovery. So the market is actually, I think the S&P 500, is somewhere around 20-some%, for the year, which, or maybe up to 30% here at the finish, because it's almost tipping 38,000. The Dow Jones is almost tipping 38,000. But anyway. So the market recovery was pretty good, and the reason for that seems to be is that the investors are thinking that the inflation is not going to be as bad as we thought, and the Fed is not going to raise the rate too much to slow down the money supply and so forth. But anyway, so that much. For that, we had a lot of deaths, of course. I've talked about that last time. And so was it a good year? Well, for some people, I'm sure it was fantastic. For us, I would say it was really fantastic as well, because we have this new guy here in our life, named Ghost, and he is it's just a wonderful dog. And as a matter of fact, I can't believe that dogs can be like this guy. He doesn't listen to anything I ask him to do, but if I stop him to do something, he's pretty good at that, So if I say, stop that or do that, he pretty much does. But if I say, come, he might not. He's looking at me right now, and basically falling asleep. And of course, he's got his paw on me, and I wish you could see that, but it's kind of cute. In any case, so I did want to make this video, and there are a lot of things that are going on that are kind of disturbing, but one of the things is that's happening, and is that they're chasing Trump all over the states. A couple of states, have actually want him to be off the primary, even though he's a presidential candidate and he did all the filings. They want him off the primary because of his part in with the January 6th, what they call it, insurrection. The Democrats really love that. But anyway, that'll probably piss off a lot of people, and so he would be written in. And the fact that the Democrats are chasing him so badly causes me to think, that, I'm not going to have any problem voting for the guy, because I don't like the direction that the country is going right now. Crime is up. In California, you know, people can walk out of the grocery store with less than 900 or about less than $1,000 worth of stuff, and they don't get prosecuted. They maybe get arrested, but then they're let go because there's this rule, that we don't fight in California the small crimes, and of course the reason that they give us, the government gives us, is, it overcrowds the jail, with that stuff. But the big point really is what we've learned in New York and other places is you must prosecute the small crimes. Because if you don't, you can't prevent the larger ones. It's usually the people that that do the small crimes are often the ones that also do the larger crimes. And so it's kind of a dragnet. That kind of gets these people off the street and away from society where they do a lot of harm. And the question is, what does it cost society? Well, it might cost $50,000 a year, for a guy to be incarcerated, But if he's outside, and causes great harm, including murder and so forth, I mean, it can cause $1 million worth of harm, just one man, on a rampage, or one woman. I guess women are rampaging now. We've seen a few women now actually in car chases. I don't know, these idiots, out there, with car chases. Some of them do get away for at least a little bit, but not for long. Usually they get caught up. And of course, talking about crime, that what's really popular is these flash mob crimes. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's a bunch of people, running into a grocery store, or a not a grocery store, but a jewelry store, a high-end clothing store, Nike store, and that kind of thing, and grabbing what they can and leaving in different vehicles and stuff. And with our technology, it's really easy to organize, and so those people that are committing these flash mob crimes, they're not stupid, or they're not too stupid. And they really are stupid, because eventually they'll get caught with stuff, It is a little disturbing, that this is allowed to go on. The Democrats, they just say, well, we don't want to come down too hard on these people because, their civil rights will be violated, and what about the rights of the store owners and so forth. In San Francisco, it's really, 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 really bad, because San Francisco is just really overtaken. People shitting in the streets, and it's just it's a place I don't even want to visit, because all the news that comes out of it, is homeless encampments everywhere, and the government isn't doing anything about it. And talk about the homeless. I mean, these guys need help. Of course they need help. So what kind of help we give them? Oh, we give them tickets to hotels or motels, or we'll build things, for housing. They don't want to even go there. They need help, the mental help that keeps them, keeps them from being a productive citizen, or, integrated into society. I'm not sure whether productive is the right word, whether we actually need this. Although in Nazi Germany, there weren't any homeless, there were no beggars, there was nothing. Gypsies were also rounded up if they showed up. This is the kind of society that we might be heading for if this, lawlessness continues, because somebody's going to come around and say, hey, enough of this stuff. We see it happening in El Salvador right now. They're rounding up all the gang members, and making it the safest country in South America. Well, the way he's doing it, Bekele, is he is suspending the Constitution every month. Every 30 days the Constitution gets suspended. So my question is, what will ultimately happen, when all the gang members are in jail, and, die in jail because the their release is probably not imminent. And so now they have this really nice, clean country. And I wonder what would happen is, the stream of criminals into the jails as it dries up. Is he going to be looking for other boogeymen? Like people that disagree with his style of government? It can happen. It can happen. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in El Salvador. The people love it because, no crime. Pretty soon they're going to throw away their house keys. Of course, I'm kidding, But so that's what's going on. The other thing, that's a little bit disturbing to me, is that what's going on in education. And I, probably should make a separate video, about education. And I'm thinking, education has come a long ways, but it's really, really falling on hard times here right now because what we're educating is people without skills. They're coming out, they can't know cursive writing, they don't need to know math because the computers are everywhere. So if they become a checker in a grocery store, they don't even know how to make change. They don't have to, So what the hell are we graduating, these days? Of course, there are always the few, the outliers, that, create the creators, like Elon Musk or, Bezos or, people like that, Microsoft and so forth. These people are there too. And they still, they're seeking an education and they're getting an education. But what the hell has happened in general? Thousands of years ago, the educated were only the priesthood and the privileged, the highly privileged. And so we've come a long ways from that in terms of public education. But if you look at public education right now, what are they doing? So if you're born a girl, and you feel like you want to be a boy, the educational system facilitates that. They're saying, "Oh, you want to be a boy? You're 10, 12 years old, and you feel like you were born into the wrong gender and all that kind of stuff." And so, what do they call it? Gender affirmation. So the kids are making decisions of long-term effects. How do we know what they'll feel like when they're 29 or 30? And some of those kids, with gender affirmation, which is such a nice word, we are affirming your gender, as if Mother Nature really needs help. You come out a boy or a girl or a hermaphrodite, that's what you are. You start to muck with that. I don't know. It looks like it's rife for problems, and the statistics are already talking about that in terms of higher suicide rates, So, people, as they grow up, and they say, "What the fuck did we do here?" And my parents let me do this. And a lot of times it's not the parents' choice so much because the pressure in the schools is immense, for gender affirmation. And critical race theory is also being taught, and critical race theory. I've talked to a teacher here recently, and the teacher said, "Well, all we do is teach the facts, and that's probably quite true. They're just teaching the facts, of all the bad things, that were done during the time of slavery and over the centuries, And, the powerful ones, we did it to the less powerful ones, it brings the Millian dialogue into mind, is the powerful do what they can, and the weak, suffer what they must, And so, we had slavery over thousands of years, and it's going on right now. There's still Arab nations that, conduct slavery, and, there's, a lot of stuff still is under the radar, but people are still being enslaved, and sometimes, they call it indentured, So, you want to come to America, you get to join a family, and basically treat you like a slave because now you got to pay back, $20,000 or $40,000 that it costs to get you here, at a rate of like $2 an hour. I mean, hey. So I guess there is no end, of what humans can do to each other, which is really kind of tragic. But yeah, if critical race theory, they're teaching the facts, and here are all these white people, especially the white males, because, the females are kind of in the background on that. But the white males, they're made to feel like they're responsible for all this. And, yeah, well, how are you going to make amends for that? What your ancestors did to the blacks and to the browns and to Aztecs and whatnots, people that didn't look like them, And, well, the Greeks, they enslaved people that looked just like them, okay? So it was, when an army conquered a city, the order of the day was, the city either gives up, okay, and they get to live, or they don't give up, and and they fight, and so they kill all the men and all the women away as slaves, and if of course if they do get up, a lot of them get killed anyway, so and were put in slavery, but so it was often a choice. Do you want to live as a slave or do you want to die? So education was for the privileged, the priesthood and the nobility and so forth, for thousands of years, and then we instituted public education. And, the Masonic orders are really, really big on public education, and it makes sense. If you have a populace, that's educated, you're bound to have better government, you would think, because, the government comes out of that populace, not just out of the fringes of the few privileged people, that are being incestually perpetuated, like the Egyptians did that, because, a pharaoh just couldn't marry some commoner, he had to marry a sister or a relative or something like this. If they couldn't find a wife, in some other kingdom, because, the untouchables, so to speak, Anyway, so what happened to education? Well, the unions kind of took over education, and so now we're producing these people without skills, and feeling bad about themselves. And the internet, of course, is out there, reinforcing all these bad and negative things, because it's always a lot easier to reinforce negative things than positive things. And so what happens is the suicide rate of young people is basically out of control. It's as high as we've ever measured it, and oddly, it's 4 times higher in males than in females, which is interesting. Which of course the statistics don't talk about whether they're white males or black males or mixed race males. But anyway, so these are some of the things that are actually concerning me throughout this year, and I'm very, very hopeful for a better year. And I know I jumped around a lot, so one more thing that I want to do is I just want to go quickly through the Wall Street Journal, see whether we can pick something up that's really interesting. So, Israeli military reveals a tunnel, it says, Hamas built for attack. So they weren't able to use it, but they were going to use it. So evidently, the Red Sea is being they have to be patrolled by Navy ships, because here's what's happening is Houthi pirates, interfering with commerce, and we can't have that. But one of the big headlines, which is kind of interesting. So when I graduated from college, I wanted to get a job where I can advance, to some level, whatever that might be. But I wanted to pick a company that I would think, would always be there. And what came to mind is Morton Salt, but I wasn't a civil engineer; I'm a mechanical engineer, and so I didn't interview with Morton Salt, and I don't know whether they even interviewed. But I was thinking, digging into the ground, salt mines and stuff like this, and it had a bad connotation to me. But then a bunch of steel companies came to Bradley, and set up interview tables, and so I interviewed with Republic Steel, with Inland Steel, and with U.S. Steel, and all of them invited me to come and visit with them. But the first one that asked for me to visit was U.S. Steel, and so I went to visit U.S. Steel, and I was smitten. I was smitten with U.S. Steel, the Chicago South Works, which was actually one of the Carnegie plants. There was the North Works and South Works, and when J.P. Morgan, put all that stuff together into U.S. Steel, South Works remained as South Works, and North Works kind of disappeared, and I'm not sure what it did. But in Chicago, so they invited me to come to Chicago, and I came to Chicago and looked at their steel mill. It was located in a real shitty place. It was hardly any grass around, because everything was kind of like iron ore, that kind of thing. And so, but I was smitten. I saw the 53-inch blooming mill, roll a big ingot, into something, what they call a slab, and so that, the slab was then rolled into other stuff. So this blooming mill, that is supposed to handle blooms, which the large ingots, the sparks flying, everywhere. And this huge 36-inch diameter shafts, were rotating instantaneously. And I recognized, what kind of power it takes to do this. And I said, oh yeah, this is the place for me. So I went to work at U.S. Steel as a management trainee. They hired me, and I went to work for them. And I, had a really good career. I worked for them about 5 or 6 years or so, and then I moved to California. Went to another steel company called Kaiser Steel. But anyway, U.S. Steel, and I thought they'd be there forever. And I have to tell you that South Works doesn't exist anymore. U.S. Steel still exists, but not for long, because here's the headline. U.S. Steel agrees to Japanese suitors' takeover for $14.1 billion. 122-year-old pillar of American industry is being sold to Japan. Yeah. Think about that. So there went my U.S. Steel. Should have gone to Morton Salt, I think. So the court rules that Trump is ineligible to run in Colorado primary, as I talked about it before. I'm just going to go through some of the headlines here. Pentagon and China are restoring military dialogue, which is interesting. We finally came to our senses on both sides. That hey, all the flybys and so forth, and the harassment that we've been doing to each other. This is kind of bullshit, and we're big trade partners. We're big trade partners. So, inflation ebbs, confidence rises, easing concern about a slowdown. Yeah. When we get really comfortable, guess what will happen? Some sort of an recession. Anyway, I'm just throwing some of these things away because I don't want to go through everything. But here is a headline: Beijing is stealing AI secrets to power its spying, U.S. says. So what they want to do is, they want to have their own AIs, gathering this metadata about people. There's TikTok, which they can probably have, and there's a lot of. For instance, we just found out that Temu, the second largest retailer, after Amazon in the United States, is actually Chinese owned. So they got a lot of customer data right there. So maybe you need to think about Temu and your data, what you buy from Temu. I kind of like Amazon, so I kind of stick with it. But I did download the Temu app some time ago because we've bought some stuff, from Temu, and it, worked well. And I'm sure that it does work well, but I'm not so sure that I want to support a Chinese-run company in the United States. If they want to produce stuff in China because of the labor market and so forth, I'm okay with that to a certain extent. But and I say certain extent because to take away work from our people here, overseas, is probably not the very best idea. And now with a steel company, U.S. Steel, when I worked at U.S. Steel in Chicago, the Chicago area steel making made more steel during World War II than all of Europe together, including Germany. Just the Chicago area by itself. No wonder we could, put out Liberty ships, like one a week or so, because we were major producers here in the United States. Of course, then I was in Germany, So. Boxing Day, Hunt rides on, but without the fox. Poor Brits, But at least they have the tradition, of the fox hunt still. And I'm not sure how they're doing this, but evidently it went really brutal for a fox, when the hounds caught up with it. But, no more fox. They're not going to kill a fox anymore. But they still have the hunt. So our borders are still porous, because the Democrats, just look at these illegal people coming in as potential voters. And, our Vice President, Kamala Harris, said, well, the only ones that are coming, it wasn't Kamala Harris, it was AOC said, what's coming across the border is women and children. Okay? Women and children are the ones that are, being oppressed, that are coming over the border. That's not what's going on, though. This woman is so full of shit. Or maybe she's not full of shit. She's trying to just spread the shit. I don't know. So now Trump is barred from the main ballot, too. So, of course, all of that is going to go to the Supreme Court, So. But tonight is going to be our big celebration in New York. Confetti showers, Times Square in a dry run, God, I hope this goes off well, hopefully it does. But the Russian missile and drone attack across Ukraine kills at least 30 people. Now, this war in the Ukraine is a really unusual war because, we're headlining that 30 people are killed. If you look at World War II or Vietnam, or even Iraq and Afghanistan, hundreds, if not thousands of people were killed every day, with this. So, I'm wondering, whether we're in Ukraine still playing at war. It's going on a long time now, going on 2 years in February, I think. And it's just no resolution. They're basically in a stalemate. I think both sides are running out of ammunition, so they don't have the stomach, for any kind of big push. But what's interesting is that a missile and drone attacks across Ukraine killed 30 people. Now, what I want to know is why aren't drone attacks and missiles, which the West has provided Ukraine, killing people in Moscow or Leningrad, you know? Big politics. I don't get it. Anyway, so much for my opinion. I want to wish everybody a happy 2024. And wow, my little ghost here, just kind of hung in there and didn't do anything crazy, like bark at a little yippy dog outside or something like that, Ghost is really a large dog, it's a 90-pound dog. So anyway, I bid you farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye.